everyone. This is Kevin with G.F.E podcast. Uh, this is my good friend Neil. This is my third video that I'm going to be doing where I like to speak with people and get their thoughts, and then just so you can see who they are and then help them grow, help their channel grow so they can provide all that good information that they have to help better yourself and also help better me. And so I think it's very important that we always meet people from different backgrounds, different ethnicities, things like that. I love to have conversations with. So that's what we're going to do here. I have a few questions for him, and then we're going to go ahead and get started. But first, Neil, would you mind introducing yourself?
Yeah, I'll try to make it short and sweet. So my name is Neil Humphrey, from San Francisco, California. I came to Japan in 2011, so this is like my 11th year here. Um, Pretty much been teaching the whole time. But I guess one of the big things for me is I opened my own school in 2018, Dream Tree English. And so that's what I'm doing. It's a full-time teacher, entrepreneur, business owner. And yeah, that's kind of everything in short. Husband, wife, father, all that stuff.
Cool. Yeah. No. Yeah. Neil and I, we both live here in Japan. He's been here, as he mentioned, about 11 years. I've been
Mhm,
here going actually on 5 years.
mhm,
So, but yeah, no, I actually met Neil shortly after we moved here.
mhm,
And I myself, well, I teach English as well, but no thanks to Neil, he actually introduced me to a
mhm,
former employer of his. And
mhm,
so I work for her teaching English to all the other children here in Japan as well. So,
mhm,
but yeah, when I met Neil, he told me about his school, and I think this is a great opportunity for myself to learn a little bit more, and then also help you as well if you do reside in Japan or do think about coming here and want to learn English. He's a person that I highly recommend to go to. Um, but Neil, can you tell me? I know you mentioned that you've been here for a little bit, 11 years, but how long have you been actually teaching?
well, my first official job was I was actually translating. I was a translator for about a couple years, and I kind of fell into teaching on accident by mistake. I was um I was just doing my regular desk work, and one of my coworkers said, "Hey Neil, can you teach me some English during our lunch break?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." So we started doing that once a week, and then I guess word caught on in the office that I was teaching English because I was the only foreigner in there, and just slowly started growing. I started out with one student, then I started teaching like the whole staff, and then word got up to the company president, and he was like, "Hey, I heard you're teaching English, once a week. Can we work something out?" And I was like, sure. But it was funny because during my interview, I shouldn't have said this, but during the interview, I told him that eventually that I wanted to open my own business. And he said, "Well, what kind of business do you want to open?" I was like, "Well, I don't know. I just want to open a business one day." And he was like, "Well," so fast forward back to the conversation. He was like, "Well, if you teach me English, I'll teach you some business concepts that you can, use later on in life." And I was like, "Yeah, cool." So once a week, I would make a little lesson for him. It'd be like 30 minutes in English, and then 30 minutes he would teach me a lot of business stuff, and it worked out. It really worked out well. So I was like, I just kind of fell into it by mistake. That was in 2011. I still kept working there for 2 years, but I just kind of got tired of that lifestyle, taking the train and all that stuff. So I was like, well, I really enjoy teaching. Why don't I try to work at a school? But I wasn't certified. I wasn't certified as a teacher. So I went online and I just found this school. It said play with kids. And that was it. It said play with kids. And I was like, all right, let's go for it. So I went there, I applied, got the job. It was really like a daycare, just like a daycare. But then I got really serious about it. And so I actually got certified as a teacher, and I worked there for 5 years. So total it's been like what, maybe 15 years that I've been teaching so far.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, sorry, what? Sorry, not 15 years. I came here in 2000, pretty much my whole time. I've been teaching since 2011, so pretty much like 11 years about, yeah.
Whew. Actually, I didn't even know that about what you just said about how the gentleman kind of was trying to make a deal, how he'd be able
Yeah,
to help
yeah,
you
that's
out.
really it was really just by accident. And I was like, well, I was like, I know I want to start a business, but I didn't know anything about business. And then I still like, keep some of the stuff he told me on my head till today. So, it kind of pretty much worked out.
Yeah, meet the right people along the way.
Yeah, for sure.
Sure. Wow.
Mhm.
And then, all right. Well, how long has your school been open?
School's been open for I'm on my fifth year now.
5 years. And
Fifth year. So to give you a little background about that, um, I told you I was teaching at a kindergarten,
right,
and I just always had this entrepreneurial mindset. And so I just decided after 5 years, I'm gonna leave here and I'm gonna go do my own thing. And the good thing that happened was I built up my rep in the area in the community, so people knew who I was and what I did. And before I quit, I was kind of teaching, like doing home lessons, private lessons, at people's houses. So
mm,
they kind of knew who I was. And then so once I quit and I said I'm going to start my own school, everybody just kind of jumped on board. But I started out in just this one little rental space. It was at the it was on the first floor of this lady's house. So the top, she lived in the top. On the bottom, there was just a table there, and she just kind of rented it out for people to do like guitar lessons and stuff.
right.
And so I booked it for 2 days a week, and it just grew from there. And it got I'm gonna say so big, but it got big enough to where she was like, Neil, I can't give you any more time. And I thought, well, this is probably the move I'm gonna have to make. So I went out, did the whole real estate thing, found a spot. And so I've been at this location for about 4 years. No, a little over 4 years. So I was at that rental space for about 6 months, I guess.
Oh,
Then I moved to the spot where I'm at, which I've been for from then till now. So school's been open total for 5 years.
dang. Okay. I didn't even know about the rental spot. And but it's kind of like that's how I see it is like life is showing you saying, hey, you've been consistent enough, now it's growing. This is kind of forcing you, okay, now you need to expand this or find something on your own now because this is
Yeah.
actually what you're doing is positive and it's definitely
Mhm,
helping children grow.
mhm.
And I think it's great. Like you said, you started off in the community doing private lessons. And one thing that I've learned while living here, and this can kind of go with any community, no matter what country, but what I've learned a lot about Japanese is trust.
Yeah.
And once you build their trust, they're pretty loyal to you,
Yeah.
and they definitely will go where you go as long as they can see that they can trust you and that you're actually a positive force in their life and for their
Mhm,
children and their children are happy.
mhm,
I've learned that this through this whole time teaching
mhm,
English, and then it's just to see what you just explained on how you're able to grow and then continue to grow. I
mhm.
mean, when I first met you and then it's up until this point, it sounds like, I mean, there was that pandemic part, but then then everybody recovered from that, you recovered from that, and then just continue to grow past that,
Mhm.
which I think is great.
Oh,
And
thank you.
so, and being open for as long as you are now, and then just continuing. Uh,
Mhm.
I have to say it's encouraging and then also inspiring because as you know that I've been really big into fitness and I'll admit it, like there was times where I felt like hot and I'm like, yeah, this is it. And then there's times where taking dips and I'm like, this is probably not gonna work out. And then I stepped back and I reevaluated for myself, not giving up on fitness. I'm never gonna give up on fitness, but then I really thought about like what you were explaining, like what are you really passionate about?
Mhm,
And my passion, as you know me, is my faith in Christ and
mhm,
and God. And so that's one thing that I know that I'm never going to fall back on.
Mhm.
And I want to share that, just like how what you're doing with English,
Mhm.
and you're teaching as well. So,
Mhm.
but um, my question to you, because I know there's a lot of schools around here, um,
Mhm.
and the best way that you know how to kind of explain the what sets you apart from all the other schools, because a lot of moms can just definitely Google and go to a English school and here and they provide this, provide that. Like what necessarily do you feel like you do differently?
Well, I think it's kind of hard, honestly, because I'm not really the type of business owner to go checking up on other schools and seeing what they're doing. I don't do that kind of stuff. I just
Hmm.
kind of do my own thing. But definitely, I know a lot of foreigners come to Japan and they just decide they want to teach English or open schools or whatnot, and that's cool. But I think for me, since I had the experience of working at a kindergarten, and learning how to run a kindergarten and being a teacher in a kindergarten for 5 years, I came into this with a lot of experience, a lot of knowledge, and so I think one for me is just I know how to handle kids. I know, how to handle a classroom really well. I know about the it's not all about money, of course, but I mean business is money. So, but I know that I know my industry very well. And so I just know how to provide a good experience. I just know how to provide a good experience for the kids multiple times. Kids, they tell me like, Neil, this is fun. Like, I've been to this school and I came here and it's just fun. Like they just say it's fun. They learn a lot. But besides it being fun, we also have test prep so they can come in and, do the test prep, which I know a lot of other schools do. But
Right.
um, I think like I want to say 99% or 98% of all pass the test that they've tried. And another thing that I think is special, we started this new program. We started a pen pal program with the school in California. So I hooked up with a teacher in
Wow.
California, and now my students are able to write back and forth in English. And so there's, the kids in California are really happy to, have friends in Japan and then vice versa. So that's really cool. I don't really know a lot of schools that are doing that. I probably shouldn't even mention it on the podcast, but
Uh, I can definitely cut this out if you want.
no, it's cool, it's cool. But I think that's one of the things that we do is like we give the students opportunities to use English in real life, and I think that's very important. But I just think it's the culture of Dream Tree, just the environment. That's all I can say. Like I said, I don't really know what other schools are doing, but for us, it's just like it's like a family environment. Kids are growing, kids are having fun. So,
Yeah.
as long as I take care of them, I think everything else will work out.
And I can totally agree with you on that. And this is just me from the look from the outside looking in,
Mhm.
and from what I see with your school and with just knowing you. And I'm not saying this just because I'm your friend, but I'm saying this just um, from what I've witnessed is that you put a lot of heart, passion, and dedication into what you want to do.
Mhm.
Um, I and of course you'll be lying if you say you don't want to make money, but you're using that money and reinvesting into what you want to do.
Mhm.
You're not trying to scam people. You're not trying to just get students or treat them as a number. You're
Yeah.
actually providing them a valued product at service
Mhm.
and helping them grow and shape their future,
Mhm.
which I think is awesome. Because I'll say this: one of your students actually goes with my school, my son Noah to preschool.
Mhm.
You may know him. His name is Makata-kun.
Oh, okay, okay, yeah, yeah.
Every single time I
Mhm.
see him,
Mhm.
he always wants to speak English.
Oh, really? Oh, that's good.
Yes, he's every time he sees like, hello, good morning, how are you? I
Wow.
like, I don't like, or I'll see you next time, or
Really?
I want to go to America,
Wow.
and that's from you, and
Wow.
you provide that joy in him that I see. that because there's some students that don't even want to try English because they're like, oh, it's
Yeah.
too hard, or who am I going to
Hmm.
talk to?
Hmm.
Um, and then also what you were mentioning about creating that pen pal service, because
Hmm.
I've learned a lot about students here where they study English, but they don't have the opportunity to actually utilize what they learn.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
provide that for them.
Hmm.
And the fact that they say, yeah, I have a friend in California, he's an American.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
I think that's great. And then vice versa. Like I have a
Hmm.
friend from Japan. And then
Yeah.
years later, who knows what could happen?
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. So I think that's great.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Now, one thing I want to talk about that you started that you mentioned earlier,
Mhm.
your YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Now, how'd you start it and why'd you start
All right.
it?
This is still an ongoing, I'm still evolving with my YouTube channel. But basically, so I started the channel actually 3 years ago. It was actually for my school. It was for my students. I was just like teaching like just like basic phrases. And then I felt like the the people that were watching, I I don't know. I felt like they wanted more, and so they kind of morphed into a podcast, which it is. It's called the English with Neil podcast, and so on that channel, it's a podcast. So basically it's an intermediate podcast for ESL students, and so I talk about a variety of different topics. And it's the vocabulary I use is intermediate, and so they're able to not only improve their listening skills, but their comprehension and build their vocabulary at the same time. So that's that's what it is, my YouTube channel.
Okay.
Mhm.
And then you provide that you take those videos and also provide it on your website that you just started as well.
Yeah, so the website is English with Neil, englishwithneil.com. And so it's basically a membership. So when the students sign up, they have the video podcast. Under the video podcast, there's a full transcript of, the whole episode. So if they can't
Oh,
understand something, they can read along. And then I highlighted like, I guess more advanced words. And so at the bottom, I have a full breakdown, the definition, sentence examples of all the vocabulary. And then under that, there's a writing exercise, there's a couple writing exercises. So let's say, for example, I'm talking about goal setting. And so they have the opportunity to share their thoughts and communicate with me under the video. In addition to that, there's also a study guide. So you listen to the episode and you read through it, and there's also a study guide to really check your comprehension. It's kind of like homework,
right.
and that's provided with every single episode. So it's like I feel like it's like a curriculum almost. It's like so it's really cool. So that's still evolving, but that's the core service, and then eventually as it grows, I'll add other things in there. But yeah, it's really like it's really it's like an in-depth saying that to promote it. I'm saying that as like as a teacher and seeing my students who have tried it, they're like, wow, I didn't know this new word, or I
Right.
didn't know this about America, or I didn't know that you use this word in this way. So it's actually pretty cool.
See, and that's cool. I mean, I didn't know about the in-depth transcript. I don't
Mm-hmm.
even like maybe I'll ask you this later, but I don't know
Mm-hmm.
how you necessarily did that. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if there's a service, but that's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's kind of like watching a movie with subtitles. So I don't know, like
Yeah,
someone that
it's
doesn't
like
quite
what it's actually I think it's easier than subtitles because it's all there. So you can
right,
just like it's all there like on a page form. So you can just listen and read through it, and then I might say something difficult, and you can go to the bottom. He's like, "Oh, he said that," and there's a full breakdown of what that is. So it's really good.
wow.
Mm-hmm.
So I know it's fairly new,
Mm-hmm.
but have you seen some good outcome from it so
Yeah,
far?
from the students that are using it or I have tried it on, their level is like intermediate. I would say intermediate to advanced. and they said it's really good for, especially for like comprehension and learning American English. Because there's many kinds of English. There's American English, there's Australian English, there's British English.
Right.
Some of the compliments I got are, they said it's easy to understand and it's really good with the transcript and the study guide. So it's kind of like, it's really like you can kind of take your English to the next level with everything that's included, in the service.
And so would you say, I mean, like teenagers, so I can, let's say, because I have a class 3 to 4 teenagers,
Hmm.
and they've always been asking me like what ways can I do to improve, and I always mention like you should read.
Hmm.
Yeah, but they were like, okay, I understand. Half of them don't like to read, but
Hmm.
if they can actually listen to something, because I had a questionnaire that you actually provided me this
Oh, nice.
about YouTube and how
Hmm.
valuable and how can YouTube be very educational, and almost all of them wrote a 4 out of the
Hmm.
5.
Wow.
And then I asked them to explain, and one girl wrote 1, but uh
Hmm.
the ones that wrote the 4, they said, we don't have the opportunity to speak English, but we think it's important to listen, but we don't know what to listen to.
Yeah.
uh, and now that you mentioned your site, if you don't mind, I don't know if this
Mm-hmm.
would cause any friction, but I would
Mm-hmm.
like to recommend your site to them,
Oh,
um,
please do, please do. Yeah.
because they can read it and listen,
Hmm.
and their level is pretty intermediate.
Oh, nice.
um,
Yeah, I
and
think it'll be. I think the content I talk about is, I don't think it's it's not. There's no adult content on there, but I mean just the maturity level. I
right.
would say from high school and up. I would say teens and up. I mean, I talk about I talk about kind of adult stuff. I talk about work and I talk about goals and responsibilities. So I think students,
Yeah.
I think leaving not elementary, leaving maybe high school up to college, up to adults. It's actually funny you mention that because on the when I look at my analytics, the people who listen the most are between, they're a little older, but they're between 23 and 27. So
Oh,
the content that I talk about is more, because I talk about adult stuff, it's not for kids,
right.
but I definitely think students in high school can definitely relate to it, or definitely be like, oh wow, when I get to that age, or wow, that's something to think about. I didn't, so
No,
I think it's
no,
good for like teens and up.
I agree. I mean, I really think these three, it will benefit them because they're really, from what I've known them for 2 years now,
Mm.
and they're quite mature for their age. So
Oh,
I
nice.
think this will definitely help because they look like they really want to learn. They
Mm.
want to they want to travel. They want to
Mm.
utilize the English that they have, but they just feel like they don't have the opportunity only to just
Mm.
speak to me, which
Mm.
they find helpful, but they just want more.
Yeah.
And if I can provide that to them, I think they're
Mm.
going to enjoy it and actually use it.
Oh, nice.
So I'd be more than happy to share that with them this coming week when I see them on Wednesday.
Oh, definitely, man. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no, no, any way that I can help because I think this will be great, especially Mayu. She
Mhm.
just passed her Aiken again.
Oh, nice.
She struggled with that for a little bit, but she just passed it again, and yeah, and I know she wants to get better and better. And if she can
Hmm.
listen and then read your transcript and understand the vocabulary a little bit more, that can just
Hmm.
expand.
Yeah,
So
yeah, definitely. I think the good thing, not to self promote, but I think the good thing about
no, no,
the
promote.
the membership, it has the study guide. So it's not like you're just listening. You actually have homework to do, like, oh, there's actually a study guide, homework, and then there's a way to communicate with me. So
Oh,
I think it's really good for students. And the reason I made it like this actually because, like, I speak Japanese, and I listen to Japanese podcasts. I listen to like some Japanese learning podcasts, and there's always times where I'm like, man, I wish you had something extra. Like I wish you had a study guide, or I wish you had something to go along with it. And I was like, well, let me do that for my site because students probably want that. and that's why I made it the way that I did, because I know as a student, I want certain things, and that's why I say like this site is kind of evolving, because somebody might say, "Hey, Neil, can you do this?" And then that's another service I can add. So I think it's good though.
That's what I was going to actually ask you about that. Even with Dreamtree and then your channel and your website, have a lot of the moms or your intermediate or adult students ever given you a lot of like feedback they believe might help them that you've actually put into place?
Yeah. I mean, definitely. I mean, in class stuff for sure, like just learning more of like American culture, phrases, things like that. But outside of class, I didn't touch on this, but I actually started a publishing company during the pandemic because I had a lot of time. So I started Dream High Publishing, and that the reason I started that was because a lot of the parents were saying, "Hey, I want extra homework, or I want to learn how to do this," but I didn't offer it at that time. And so I was like, well, I'm at home and this is a perfect opportunity. So I learned, I did a crash course in publishing. And so we got, I have now what, 4 books published. I have 3
Mm.
that I use in Dreamtree, and then I have the one that's on Amazon. So I have 4 books published, and I'm just growing as I'm growing the businesses, and things are growing. I'm just trying to meet the students' needs. If they want this and I can do it, then I'll provide it. I'll figure out a way to do it, and I'll put it together. So it's yeah, Dream High Publishing is something that definitely was requested because they wanted more work to do at home. And so that's why I got those workbooks, and then I learned, well, how can I take it a step further? Then I, put it on Amazon. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot, every year there's always someone asking for something new, and you as the
Yeah.
owner have to be like, okay, what's the next move I got to make? And I mean, you probably know that as a teacher as well. So, you
Right.
know,
No, no. A lot of the moms ask me like, is there anything that they can do at home? But no.
mhm,
Uh
mhm,
I, well, it's good that you actually you listen to them instead of saying no, this is what
mhm.
I'm gonna do. So
Yeah.
no. uh but yeah, no, I see that's great because I get that from a lot of the moms that, well, especially the moms that actually speak English. I
Yeah.
get that a lot from them.
Mhm,
I was like, what
mhm.
else can my student do? So
Yeah.
that's good that you do that. And I
Yeah.
honestly think the website, everything that you're doing is great. You're growing and you're providing more of a service to expand. And
Mhm.
I can just no other than just applaud you for that and then root for you as you continue
Mhm.
to grow.
Oh, thank
Um
you, man.
yeah, but I also just quick question.
Yeah.
When you're not teaching and not with your family, what is it that you enjoy doing for fun?
When I'm not with the family, to be honest, I'm kind of boring. I actually love books. So I'm a bookworm. Like I love books. Like right now my kids are at school, my wife is at work, and this morning I had a whole hour just to read. Like I just love learning. That just makes that I don't know, like that just learning something new like every day is just that really gives me like fulfillment to be like, oh, I didn't know about that, or oh, I didn't really. That's why, just anything. So
Yep.
I love reading. I mean, outside of reading, um, maybe fishing, I guess, taking my when I'm with the family, going fishing. But yeah, on my own, I'm kind of boring, honestly. I love to read. I love to journal. I love to write, and I guess I'm really into the arts, that kind of stuff. So yeah.
Hey, as I get older, I notice. I mean, nothing's wrong with trying to educate yourself.
Hmm.
Nothing's
Hmm.
wrong with that. I'll admit I'm not a big reader, but I do remember I think it was during the summer or before the summer started, I made a goal to read 5 books before the end of the year.
Hmm.
So I am on my fourth one right now, and I have how many more? I have what 29 days to finish and then finish
Yeah.
my so I believe I can do it. Um,
Yeah. It's
But
possible.
I too am the same way. Like I'm reading and I'm learning. The books that I'm reading are more geared towards like the Bible or any type of studies or
Hmm.
geological findings, things like that. But I'm the same way. Like my mind blown is like I didn't know that, and
Hmm.
I'm realizing my personality. I'll say my uh, I wouldn't say personality, but the way my thinking is changing,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
so I can relate with you on that.
Hmm.
But but hey, looks like we are actually out of time. But I want to
Yeah,
thank
yeah.
you personally. I really want to thank you for doing this because
Oh, thank
this
you.
was
I
something I
appreciate it.
was looking forward to, and I
Oh,
want to
yeah.
continue doing this. Maybe somewhere down the road we can meet again.
Oh,
Um,
definitely.
but again, everyone, thank you for tuning in and watching my good friend Neil and
Mhm.
explained everything that he has with regarding his website, his school, his YouTube, all that he's doing. So I highly recommend you go to his channel and support him. I am going to provide that link on the screen here for you so
Oh,
you
thank
can
you.
go.
Appreciate it.
Again, I highly support it because I think it's great. My kids are trying to learn English, and I think
Mhm.
this is great as well. So, um,
Thank you.
again, thank you for actually listening to G.F.E podcast,
Mhm.
God, family, everything else.
Mhm.
Neil, so I kind of just want to quickly end it, and this is something I knew that I wanted to do. Just end it with a quick prayer,
Yeah.
just to be thankful for everything that you have, you and that I have,
Mhm.
and so just a quick prayer. I'm going to end it here.
Oh, for sure. Mhm.
Dear Heavenly Father, just thank you again for this opportunity to meet with my good friend Neil and allowing us to talk and learn from each other. And I just pray that you place your hand on Neil and help him continue to grow his business, helping children change their mind, their hearts, and their souls to learn the importance of, work and to learn a new language that will better themselves. Lord, I also want to pray for his family and his continued growth in his YouTube and also the opportunity that he may get to know you more as well. So I just look forward to next time. And thank you again for allowing us to do this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
All right. So I will catch you, who knows, maybe on the weekend. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. Have a good day, man.
Cool. Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Of course. All
All right. Talk to you soon.
right.